Admit it, he's adopted.
How can I be adopted when I have a twin sister? Think, monkey. Think.
That's enough. No one's adopted.
I wish I was.
That can still be arranged.
That was a clip from Young Sheldon, a spin-off of the mega-hit CBS sitcom The Big Bang Theory. Now, in today's world of reboots, remakes, and sequels, creating a successful spin-off to a beloved television show is incredibly difficult. And creating a spin-off that's even better than its beloved original is near to impossible, which is why we're amazed to say that, somehow, Young Sheldon might have actually figured it out.
Hello, Dr. Bowers, it's Sheldon Cooper. I need you to administer more anesthesia to me. No, I don't have a dental problem. I need to re-enter a trance-like state so I can communicate with Thoth, the god of knowledge.
Created by Chuck Lorre and Bill Prady, The Big Bang Theory debuted in September of 2007. The series followed a group of nerdy 20-something friends living in Pasadena, California, and at the center of that group was Sheldon Cooper, a Caltech theoretical physicist with a genius-level IQ, a razor-sharp wit, and a childish personality. Despite having something of a mean streak,
I'm Kid the geologist, of course, but it's only because I have no respect for the field.
Sheldon, as played by Jim Parsons, became a breakout character and a pop culture icon. His popularity with both fans and critics alike was one of the main reasons the series ran for an astounding 279 episodes over 12 seasons, winning 7 Emmys off 46 nominations. On the other hand, The Big Bang Theory wasn't exactly universally adored. The series was frequently called out for its often sexist and misogynistic humor, as well as its alienating habit of using the very same nerd culture it claimed to represent as the butt of most of its jokes. Nonetheless, as one of the most watched sitcoms of its day, Big Bang ultimately went out on top, only ending its run because Parsons had decided to move on rather than participate in a 13th season. He was not, however, moving far, at least not professionally speaking, because way back in November of 2016, CBS entered into negotiations to create a spin-off centered on a younger Sheldon Cooper. Initially pitched to Big Bang producers by Parsons himself, the series was officially ordered in March of 2017. It would debut the following September, running concurrently with the final 2 seasons of Big Bang, which served as something of a launchpad for the spin-off by occasionally featuring its cast in small guest roles that tied the two together.
If you're watching this, I assume something bad has happened. Something that's making you question everything.
I'm so smart.
Now, as we've discussed in the past, when it comes to creating a spin-off, there are 2 main options for creators to choose from. The first, and far more common, is to create a lightly veiled clone. This kind of spin-off is the same type of show as its progenitor, but may have a slightly different angle, a mostly new cast, and be set in a different time or place. Examples include the NCIS franchise and Law & Order. The advantage to this model is obvious. If fans like the original, there's a good chance they'll like more of the same. That being said, the history of television is littered with the corpses of spin-offs that attempted to imitate the style and tone of their predecessors. Shows like Joey, That 80s Show, and How I Met Your Father, for example, just came off like cheap imitations of Friends, That 70s Show, and How I Met Your Mother, and none of them even came close to duplicating the success of their respective originators. Which brings us to the other way to create a spin-off, which is to take an interesting character from the original and then build a completely different show around them. It's a risky approach because seeing a single character they recognize isn't necessarily going to convince audiences to watch a series they might not otherwise get into. On the other hand, delivering fans a unique universe that still somehow feels like a part of what came before can sometimes sidestep their nostalgia for the original and save the spin-off from feeling like a disappointment. It's not a surefire road to success, but series that chose the latter route include some of the most successful spin-offs of all time, including shows like Frasier and Better Call Saul. And perhaps because Big Bang was still making new episodes at the time and didn't necessarily want to compete with a clone show, that's the route producers took with Young Sheldon. In fact, what they delivered was so different that if you didn't know it going in, you probably wouldn't realize it was a prequel to The Big Bang Theory.
Per the student dress and grooming code, this boy is wearing sports attire outside of a designated area, and this girl's blouse is diaphanous, which means I can see her brassiere.
Co-created by Lorre and Stephen Malero, Young Sheldon follows the titular child prodigy as he grows up with his family in East Texas during the late 1980s. That family includes Sheldon's fiercely protective and devoutly religious mother, Mary, his good-hearted but slightly meat-headed football coach father, George, his underachieving older brother, Georgie, his smart-mouthed twin sister, Missy, and his sarcastic maternal grandmother, who Sheldon famously calls Meemaw. Largely embraced by critics and fans, Young Sheldon would run for 100 141 episodes over 7 seasons. And in an age where most series are lucky to make it through even a couple of 8-episode seasons, that makes it an unqualified success. So it's hard not to wonder what went right. Well, for starters, Young Sheldon was a very different show than its predecessor. Stylistically, Big Bang was a multicam sitcom with a laugh track, whereas Young Sheldon used a single cam format and no laugh track. And structurally, Young Sheldon's stories were knit together by the voice of the adult Sheldon in an omniscient narrator role, which the original series lacked.
In any real-life crisis, my family's default mode is mindless panic.
Someone's gonna die! Someone's gonna die!
Or heartless apathy.
Oh my Lord!
Giving the spin-off a totally different look and feel was probably partially a reaction to changing trends in sitcoms, but right off the bat, it somehow made the Big Bang universe feel bigger. Similarly, Big Bang, like Friends or How I Met Your Mother, was part of a genre of sitcoms which focused on the romantic relationships and professional lives of young urban adults. In stark contrast, its rurally set spin-off was a family show centered on a child. In that way, it was much more like The Wonder Years or Malcolm in the Middle, both of which were clearly huge influences. Young Sheldon also had both great characters and great casting. Sheldon himself is played by Ian Armitage of the hit HBO series Big Little Lies, who was only 9 years old when Young Sheldon debuted. Recasting an iconic character, even at a different age, always risks alienating a pre-existing fan base. But to say Armitage was perfect for his role would be underselling it. Supported by Parsons' voiceovers as the adult Sheldon, the two seamlessly combine into a fuller version of the character than was ever depicted on Big Bang. The same could be said for Sheldon's family members. Save for George Sr., who died before the events depicted in the original series, they're all characters who had appeared on Big Bang to some extent, but recast for the spin-off with younger actors, they're each granted new depth and breadth, far beyond what any of them had in the original show. The effect is especially compelling in the case of Sheldon's mother, Mary, who is played by Zoe Perry, the real-life daughter of actress Laurie Metcalf, who played Mary on the original series. On Young Sheldon, the Coopers are depicted as a very relatable, very average family doing their best to cope with a bizarre boy genius in their lives. They couldn't be less similar to Sheldon's supporting cast from Big Bang, so they provide him a wildly different dynamic in which to exist and function. That drastic change in situations opens the door to a world of completely new stories about the character which complement rather than step on or needlessly drag out what fans had seen on the original show.
Glad you enjoyed it.
So, Sheldon, what did you think of your first theoretical physics class?
I think I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life.
Good choice.
For example, Season 2, Episode 22, A Swedish Science Thing and the Equation for TOAs. This emotionally difficult episode finds Mary worried about what will happen when no one shows up to the Nobel Prize party Sheldon invited the whole school to.
This Wednesday morning, the Nobel Prize in Physics will be announced, and I'd like to invite each and every one of you to my garage to listen live at 5 a.m. and be a part of scientific history.
And then picking up the pieces when no one comes and Sheldon's hero doesn't even win. It's a heartbreaking episode that turns hopeful when it offers glimpses of the young versions of Sheldon's future friends from Big Bang. Perhaps most importantly of all, the change in story worlds comes with a major change in tone. Young Sheldon's gentle and sincere comedic sensibilities are in many ways the antithesis of Big Bang's crass, edgy, and occasionally offensive sense of humor. In fact, it's probably not unfair to say that Young Sheldon might even be the kind of series that could easily appeal to people who hated Big Bang, which is all to say, it was a show that stood on its own and you didn't need to appreciate or even see Big Bang to understand what it brought to the table. And maybe that's why Young Sheldon lasted as long as it did and now has a spin-off of its own. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage debuted on October of 2024 and focuses on the married life of Sheldon's older brother Georgie. Other characters from Young Sheldon have dropped in as guest stars, but otherwise, the new spin-off is as different from Young Sheldon as Young Sheldon was from The Big Bang Theory. Going back to the multicam format and adding a laugh track, Georgie and Mandy is, in many ways, more similar to The Big Bang than it is to its direct predecessor. As of this writing, it only has one season under its belt, but so far, it seems like a success, having garnered mostly positive reviews and decent ratings. Only time will tell if Chuck Lorre and his team will be able to strike gold a third time and go on another multi-season run, but their track record so far leads us to believe that if there's a science to making spin-offs, they might be the geniuses who figured it out. So what do you think? Were you a fan of The Big Bang Theory? And if so, did you think Young Sheldon did it proud? Let us know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely find others you like if you check out the rest of the channel. As always, thank you for subscribing to Nerdstalgic.